Hi class, my name is Emily McCormick, and today I am going to present you my research assignment. In this assignment, I covered different materials that I thought could be added to the syllabus, and how I started that research process was by thinking about the common themes that we've covered in this class. Themes like gender, place, identity, representation, some of the topics that we've covered widely, like racism, sexism, homophobia within Appalachia. And then after reviewing those themes and those topics, I tried to determine which subjects I would have liked to read a bit more on. What would I like to have expanded if I could actually contribute to the syllabus and share something with my classmates to read. To start my research process, I used JSTOR to look for academic articles. For the non-academic materials, I searched through two online magazines called Southern Cultures and The Bitter Southerner, as well as just doing some general Google searches of gender, Appalachia, queer Appalachia. I'll start with my first source. This is an academic article. The title is Trying to Get Appalachia Less Wrong, A Modest Approach by Elizabeth S.D. Engelhardt. This article was featured in Southern Cultures, but I accessed it on JSTOR. So in this article, Engelhardt critiques the repeated tendency of outsiders to portray Appalachia as a single, static, monolithic story. She argues that this flattens the region and erases the queer, non-white, politically active people who have always been there. She urges researchers to seek out neglected voices so that a more accurate and expansive picture of Appalachia can emerge. And the reason I think that this article belongs on the syllabus is because it directly challenges those stereotypes and misconceptions many students, not just students, people in general, have about Appalachians, and that maybe me and my fellow classmates have carried into this class and hopefully have been, educated about. Now for my second source, this is also an academic article that I accessed on JSTOR. The name of the article is Will the Real Daisy May Please Stand Up? A Methodological Essay on Gender Analysis in Appalachian Research by Sally Ward Maggard. It gives a very seething, rundown of how Appalachian studies has, yes, indeed expanded over the years to include the perspective of women, but the field still lacks that critical gender analysis. She critiques those stereotypical portrayals of Appalachian women like Daisy May and Granny Clampett, and she explains how the limited scope of research in Appalachian studies harms real women, particularly in relation to tourism, migration, and family structures. And I would say that this belongs on the syllabus because it really just provides a good baseline for why you should take this class, why this class is important. I wrote that it lays an essential groundwork for understanding why gender must be a central analytical lens when studying Appalachia. Now my third source is a poem that I found in Southern Cultures by the author Savannah Sipple. The name is The Sounds That Wake Me. And in this poem, the author describes the intergenerational violence that shaped her childhood and how the sounds of that violence still haunt her in her adult life. She also touches on how abuse is... Sorry, my roommate's dog is barking. She also touches on how abuse is intergenerational, how her father abused her grandmother, and her father abused his children, his son, who is Savannah's father, and how that abuse has just gone down generation after generation because it has been normalized and reinterpreted to be discipline instead of acknowledged as what it is, which is violence. I think Sipple's poem should be added to the syllabus just because it touches on a really important idea, which is gendered violence as well as intergenerational violence. And it just made me think about the family dynamic around intergenerational violence passed off as discipline here that we have in the South as well. My fourth source is called Keep Your Elegy, The Appalachia I Know Is Very Much Alive. This is an article featured in The Bitter Southerner, and the writer is Ivy Brashear. So her essay is a critique of Vice President J.D. Vance's memoir, Hillbilly Elegy, and I wrote in my research assignment, I just think this is a good sentence and I wanted to share it. While Vance's memoir paints a grim, one-sided picture of a place destined to be abandoned by anyone with the mind and means to leave, Brashear hits back hard by tying his critiques of Appalachians to the systemic issues that have led the region to such a state. I think Brashear's essay should be included because, unfortunately, Hillbilly Elegy may be some people's first Appalachian memoir that they've ever read, and that doesn't sit well with me, and I don't think it sits well with Ivy Brashear either, because her essay is very corrective in a sense. She's like going through and correcting all of the things that J.D. Vance has wrong about Appalachia, and I just think it would be a worthwhile addition to the course readings in case Hillbilly Elegy is a student's first exposure to Appalachian literature or an Appalachian memoir, if you will call it that. So this essay could work as kind of a balance to maybe some of the preconceived notions that J.D. Vance's book established. My fifth source is a narrative poem featured in the Appalachian Journal. This is non-academic, from the author Susan Odell Underwood, and the title is Holler. I think it is definitely a worthwhile contribution to the course material because it covers the topic of brain drain, which I think the South struggles with as well, so it's relevant here. I think this piece would be a good addition because it discusses the decision to leave your home in favor of new experiences, like all of Underwood's classmates, like she talked about, or do what she did and stay there and stay true to her roots and try to help the new generation of Appalachians. Overall, I would love to see any of these included in the syllabus, or anyone who watches this video to read and tell me what you think, because it was a pleasure doing the research and, kind of getting to put myself in the professor's shoes for a minute. So I hope you read, I hope you enjoy, and I hope you have a great Thanksgiving break, and I'll see you later. Thank you.